like, is that correct?
That is correct.
The only way to get that level of relief is to pursue this next waiver that would be available for 7 schools.
The only avenue that we see that you can ever reduce it is if under the new ESSA law, which does not go into effect until ESSA expires, or waiver, is that you submit it as one of those 7 states through the state board, but you can't do that until you know what guidelines they're going to have you submitted under. Those U.S. Department of Ed is just now writing regulations. They have to put it out for public comment, do all that stuff.
So Brad, this is Cindy. As you talk about this is a state waiver. So how is it that the coalition would be eligible for that waiver if the whole state is not going to ask for it?
Well, and I can barely hear you, Cindy.
Brad, her question.
We're using the word waiver in 2 different. 40 states have a waiver.
No.
But those will expire August 1.
Yeah, I get that, but my question is about this process for 7 states. How is it that the coalition could ask for something different than our state is implementing?
We don't know yet. They haven't put anything out. What they're doing is they're saying all we see in the law is the secretary can allow up to 7 states to pilot or do something different.
I know, but we can
possibly in Kansas, what we want to do is allow a group of districts. We don't know yet we don't know if they're only going to allow the whole state to do it all at once, if they're going to allow a group of school districts within a state. Those are the details we won't know until they put their, develop the regs.
Brad, do you have any information at all from the Secretary of Education about these 7 states, or is just the ideas been presented?
Just here's where the U.S. Department of Ed is. They got the law. It was approved. They obviously know more because that's all they're doing now is going through 1,200 pages, and they have to now develop regulations around those, but they haven't put anything out. Just like early childhood grants. They have yet to put the law says there will be some, but they haven't put anything out yet because they're developing it all. So no, we don't have any information from the U.S. Department of Ed other than their goal is to have them the first draft out for public comment this spring sometime.
But we're sure they're going to give 7 states flexibility.
Well, if 7 states apply, the law just says it allows the secretary to approve up to. So they have to now say, okay, what would we consider in that? What would we require them to submit? Is it going to be that the whole state has to be all involved, or can it just be a group of districts within a state? None of that we know, and that's probably what they're scratching their head with right now among everything else in there. But that was Randy and I's point. Until we know that, and basically the law gives them, that's why the old laws or waivers don't expire till August 1 because it has to allow them time to develop all the guidelines, the regulations around the new law. So we can't answer that question because they haven't put it, because they're just now working on it, U.S. Department of Ed.
Brad, this is Mike from Blue Valley with Sue Dole in the room. Question for you. Outside of that process then with ESSA, are you saying that there's no recourse for the coalition to reduce the assessment footprint for next year?
not grades 3 through 8 and once in high school, you'd be out of compliance even of the new law. Because the new law, ESSA did not reduce the footprint.
So that's why it seems to me our best option as a coalition is to encourage the state and encourage the State Board of Education to apply to be one of those 7 states.
So here's a question I have, just being new enough to the coalition, what's the thought process behind reducing state assessment tests? And what has been the discussion that's taken place before, or what's going into this decision or this thought?
I think we could probably need to do that later so we get Brad off of here.
Okay.
Just
Sure.
so that.
Sure.
One question for Brad, and I guess just I'm thinking out loud, at what point should we express to the state board that we as a coalition are interested in pursuing this and letting them know that we want to work with them and we want to work with KSDE to be involved in potentially putting some sort of proposal together? At what point should we let them know that we are truly interested in pursuing this?
I think you could at any time. You've got Dina, and I don't know if Jim's on the line, but I would probably work through Randy. I think you guys have to give a report, if I recall, annually to the board. That would probably, I would imagine it'd be sometime this spring would be the best time to do that.
We've also got updates for both the House Education and the Senate Education Committees too, so we've got several reports
I
coming
would
up.
say that would be probably the best time, because that will probably happen before we even still have any kind of regulations from U.S. Department of Ed about the details of the new law.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brad,
the new law still has the same footprint.
okay. Brad, is there anything else that you want to share with us before you have to step out?
Yes, there is one thing that Randy and I were going to visit with the coalition about, something for you to think about at one of your next meetings. We are looking at working with our regional education lab that they support Midwest states, of doing a pilot around, and I don't know, are your teachers still there that we're talking about socio-emotional character development?
Yep.
Some of them are.
Okay. Well, here's what we're going to look at doing. We have 31 school districts that are currently part of that grant. Marysville may be one of them. I don't know them off the top of my head. But we're going to look for a group of districts, starting with them because they've already either adopted the standards, have things in place, to pilot and work towards if you remember the two where people said socio-emotional character development is important, but it should be measured locally. What are those measures? And how can we get a group of districts to work with our regional education lab and the resources that we can bring to the state to develop a pilot, some types of measures around socio-emotional character development. And we'll be reaching out to those 31 districts that are involved in that initiative. So Randy and I thought that might be something that the coalition might want to get involved with as piloting some of those measures around those SECD standards. So if that's something that you guys may want to add to one of your agenda items, We don't have to know today, but we thought that might be something that the innovative districts might want to consider pursuing.
Hey, Randy,
All I have.
Brad, thank you for your report. Appreciate your time.
Well, sorry, I got the Kansas Professional Learning Team downstairs in the boardroom, so I got to get back down there. But and Randy's in the school district right now. But if you need something, holler.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.